Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and my iPad Pro is one of my favorite devices, and every year at the beginning of the year, the middle, and the end of the year, I usually do a what's on my iPad or what's on my iPhone video. So I thought we'd start with what's on my iPad, and I've really refined what's on my iPad recently. I don't have Apple Arcade anymore, and I only have 2 pages. So we'll take a look at this and I'll show you what I have. Now, the way I organize everything, including on my iPhone as well, is I put everything I use the most usually on the first page. And then I put everything in the second page that I use often, but not as often. So it really depends, although that may not be true for certain apps. So for example, you'll see a lot of Apple apps right at the top with a couple Google apps as well, such as Google News or just Google. I like to use their news. I think it does the best job as far as curating everything and really locking down what I like to look at as far as news stories. And then, of course, I have the new Google Maps. That's the same thing on everything, but it's just Google Maps. I also use Apple Maps, but I use Google Maps. I also use Gmail and Twitter a lot. And then I have B&H Photo, and B&H Photo is where you can buy things such as cameras and things like that. The same is true with Amazon, of course, and then eBay. Now, as far as video creation, this is when I want to use the iPad for multiple things. So, for example, I can use it as a field monitor or a remote for my camera. So one of the cameras I use is a Panasonic GH5 I have right here, and sometimes I want to use that remotely. And there's another app on the second page for that as well, but I can use Field Monitor to do that also. LumaFusion lets me edit on the go, so maybe I'm stuck at a point where I have a video, but I don't have my MacBook, or I'm not in my office with my Mac Pro. I'll need to use that. Otherwise, I normally use the Mac for editing. But also Filmic Pro, that lets me record from the camera here, but usually I use Filmic Remote. And Filmic Remote lets me use the iPhone camera and then see what's being recorded right on the screen. So I can use the camera for that. I can show you that. So I just turned on remote control on my iPhone. We'll hit connect on the iPad. And now, as I move my iPhone around, you can see what it's looking at. So maybe I want to look over here at my trackpad or my keyboard or my camera. You can see what I'm looking at remotely off my iPhone while I'm actually looking on my iPad. So it lets me do that. There is a little bit of lag, but in general, it's a nice app, especially if you want to control something on your phone. So even though that's not my iPhone 10, I'm not sure why it thinks that, but for some reason it thinks it's the iPhone 10. And then I also use Pixelmator Photo and Procreate. I probably use Pixelmator Photo more. That's if I want to edit a photo for a thumbnail on a video. That's usually what I use that for. So all of the apps on my home screen are pretty standard. Google Tasks I do use, but I've been trying out the Do app from Microsoft. So I go back and forth. Things does the same thing. I haven't been using Things as much, so I really try out different tasking applications to see what's best. Tasks is free, as is the Microsoft one, and it works across all platforms. So that's kind of why I've been doing that. Now on the next page, this is where I just have a few other things. So I have a finance folder, a music folder, a photos folder, and maybe I should put Pixelmator Pro in here. Sometimes I don't, or Pixelmator Photo. Sometimes I don't really organize everything because it's on the second page. Then I have Apple apps. These are just all the stock apps. They're here. I could organize them into the same part. I just don't really pay attention too much to this. Then I have entertainment with NBC and Netflix and Amazon and CBS, and Disney Plus. Those are things I watch. So if we take a look at my games folder, I have quite a few games in here. I do play games in here, but there's not a ton of game playing going on here. I usually play on the Xbox or a gaming PC. But if I do play on here, it's usually Civ Rev 2 or Civilization Revolution 2. I played through Monument Valley in the Room 3. So some of these I revisit from time to time. I've also been playing the Game of Life with my kids. So then we have Lumix Sync, and again, I mentioned this before, but it lets me sync between my Panasonic cameras. And then also I have a utilities folder. So I have a VPN app, so when I'm on the go, Google Duo, so I can FaceTime basically with people that are on Google. Anchor for podcasts. I haven't really used that a whole lot. And then just things that I can test with, such as Geekbench. But that's the old one. I really should put Geekbench 5 in there. Eero for my router, a church folder here, and then a smart lock, Google Calendar, and PDF Expert. That is all I have on my iPad. And I use probably the most, I probably use YouTube. So I'm always using that to just watch videos and things like that in my sub feed. And whatever I watch. So you'll see, if you actually looked in my sub feed, there's not a whole lot of tech channels. It's more travel and cars, really, but I do watch some tech channels as well. But that's really it for what's on my iPad. I really streamlined it. I used to have pages and pages of things. I moved it down to 2 pages. But if you have a suggestion for an app, maybe a task app that works well across everything, maybe Android, iPhone, Mac, Windows, all of those things, that's really what I look for, so that it makes it easy no matter what thing I'm testing out. Let me know in the comments below. And again, for games, I tend to like strategy games, or strategy games or puzzle games. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it as I always do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.